Not only is this recorded, but if you have questions, you can also look up at the top right of your screen. You see the little bubble, click on the bubble, and you can post a question, because Rachel is really good at monitoring the questions. But Rachel, since you're speaking, Clay is almost as good as you.
Okay.
So we'll make sure we're monitoring the questions. All right,
Okay.
take it away, Miss
Awesome.
Rachel.
All righty. Well, thank you all for joining us. Certainly thank you to Angie, Joanne, Clay. Certainly we do have a long-standing relationship, and it's always great to work with you. And again, as Angie said, apologies for the short notice. We did this a few months back, certainly wanted an update, but the deadline is tomorrow. As we move through, you'll soon find out. So again, thank you for having us, and thanks everybody for joining. Certainly, we have been in the news a lot lately. You've probably heard more about SBA than you ever have, and some people maybe didn't even know who we were. So, just very briefly, we are the federal government. We've been around since 1953, and our whole purpose in life is to help people start and grow their business. So, we have a couple different ways we do that. We have counseling programs, contracting for those interested in government contracting, and then certainly capital, which is really what we're going to talk about today. Any of the information that we go through today, if you did have curious about other programs that we offer, certainly sba.gov is our main website that can give you all of that. But again, for right now, we're going to talk obviously about COVID-19. A few months back, the CARES Act legislation came out, and a major piece of that legislation was that Paycheck Protection Program. So the big thing for everybody to remember is that tomorrow is the deadline. So as we move through, if you are even remotely interested, run to your existing lender, or certainly a standard search online is going to be able to get you a whole list of lenders. So there's brick and mortar, everything from the big national banks, regional banks, credit unions, the more local banking institutions are all in there. And then we've got probably a dozen or maybe even more by now of the online lenders. So lots of choices there. And again, please just, don't wait. The sooner you can get that application in, the sooner, we just won't miss that deadline. So since June 26th, those are the numbers that I have right now. I just wanted to give everybody an update because I know Steve had done that last time for you, Angie. So far, over 4.7 million businesses across the country have gotten the Paycheck Protection loans. Altogether, that accounts for over $517 billion. And again, certainly money is still available. So please, if you are at all interested, like I said, the minute we're done here, get on the phone, send the email, whatever you need to do to get in touch with your lenders. So kind of drilling it down, making it a little more localized. In Maryland, we've had over 77,000 of our local entrepreneurs that have gotten the loans, and that's accounted for just shy of $10 billion. As you'll see here, there's this main slide. We're going to talk about paycheck protection, and then we'll just talk for a few minutes about the economic injury disaster loan and the advance piece that goes with that. So the paycheck protection was a brand new loan, literally was designed out of that CARES Act, put together really in a matter of days. So the whole point of the loan is really designed to get businesses back up and running and to get your employees back to work. So the way it works, if you'll skip one more, am I doing the slides? I'm so sorry. Is that me? Oh, yay, sorry. So you'll see here, the loan is the direct incentive for the small businesses to get the workers back working, keep everybody on payroll. What happens is the SBA is going to actually forgive, yes, go bye-bye, forgive a portion of the loan if the monies are spent according to the rules, let's say, or the guidelines of the plan. So out of the money, you can spend it on payroll, rent, your mortgage interest, your utilities, your main business expenses. The real provision here, I think if we go one more slide, it's on the next one. The deal is that it needs to be 60% of the money goes toward the payroll. So again, you just need to be careful and do a lot of your math here. The original program that came out was an 8-week period. that was your calculation determining the amount of the loan. It's roughly your payroll for an 8-week period times 2.5. That would be your loan amount. What the revision to the program, if you call it that, I want to say it was right around June 5th or June 6th that the president signed those changes into law, and they actually reduced it was originally 75% of that amount had to go towards your payroll. So they, at the beginning of the month, they did those revisions. It was passed into law. So now you only have to spend 60% of that amount on the payroll. So again, you've got a little more flexibility there. And previously it was an 8-week period to use those funds. They've actually extended it out to 24 weeks. So again, you know, a lot more options. They kind of looking at it again, realized that many people, because of, you know, the individual states, or maybe it's just your industry, you know, at the beginning, you know, Angie, before we all started, we were having a conversation about restaurants, you know, that, you know, they were closed, they could only do carry out, and then, you know, the limited outdoor dining. And so obviously there are many industries that have been affected with what they legally can even do to get back up and running. So the modifications were made to address those issues. So again, you'll see here, you've got that 8-week portion of the loan. It will be fully forgiven. And again, assuming that, you know, the 60% is used for payroll. Of course, the big question is, what if I can't make 60%? What if I fall short? Well, it's not an end game. You know, you'll end up, those percentages will be adjusted accordingly. And that's something that you'll work with your individual lender on to request that forgiveness. The loan payments are deferred. There's no collateral, personal guarantees required. You will not be charged any fees. Again, here the forgiveness, just sort of repeating what we've already gone over, just based on maintaining or rehiring the employees, maintaining salary levels. Big question, it does not have to be the exact same employees. We know in many situations the employee themselves, for, you know, whatever the reason, personal health reasons, maybe they have a family member, you know, with a compromised condition, you know, they're not prepared to come back, or they're not comfortable with that. So again, we've really tried to take into consideration all of the different pieces that, you know, we're hearing, and kind of adapt the program to meet real life needs. And again, that revision that went into place at the beginning of the month, you'll see here, now there's an actual 5-year maturity on the loan. Originally, when the program first came out, it was 2 years. So now we've got 5 years, and the interest rate is only 1%. So let's pretend you fall short on that 60%. For whatever it is, if there is a balance that's not forgiven, it converts to a traditional loan. And again, that would be the 1% interest with those 5 years for the maturity. Let's see. Are we going to the next one? There we go. Big, big red letters. Deadline tomorrow. So again, I just can't say it enough. Tomorrow is the deadline for the loans to be approved. As with any of our programs, we always encourage you to start with your existing lender. But in some cases, you know, they may have cut off their applications. They may not have the staffing for whatever their reasoning. They may not be participating at this point. So start with them. If that doesn't work, certainly you can go to sba.gov, or again, just a standard internet search, and it's probably going to be one of the top items to pop up, and you'll get an entire list of folks that can help you. There again, you know, I mentioned there's, you know, over 75,000 people just in Maryland alone that have gotten these loans already. So what Steve did a couple months ago, Steve being Umberger, our district director, who again unfortunately isn't with us this morning, Steve created this loan account, this email, MD-SBA loan questions at sba.gov. That's an actual email box that comes directly into our Baltimore district office, our lending staff. So again, lots of questions out there. I'm going to do my best to answer what I can as we go through, but certainly that's available to you as well. And that email box is going to stay live. So even past the deadline for tomorrow, you know, feel free to jot that down and get in touch with us if you need to, because our lending staff monitors that directly. Let's see. Okay, EIDL is our economic injury disaster loan. This is our standard disaster assistance, disaster response loan program. It's been around for a really long time. Some of you may remember back when Howard County had the flooding, even going way back, Hurricane, Isabel, some of the different superstorms, that sort of a thing. So we've used this many times. Typically it would be a hurricane, the wildfires that were out west, last few years. Typically it's more of a natural disaster response, but there is this piece, which is the economic injury. So certainly it is available to you. There was a period of time where the portal had been shut down. So we are really happy and pleased to announce that it is back open and available to all Maryland small businesses. And what this is, it is a low interest, long-term loan for working capital. So again, whether you're a restaurant, a small farmer, even accountants, law firms, whatever it might be, I think everybody has been hurt and affected to some degree, and certainly you are eligible for this program. The EIDL program is the only time that you get direct money from the SBA. So the paycheck loan that we just talked about is going to come through your local lender, through whatever bank you apply with. This case with the EIDL, the money actually comes directly from the SBA. And I think if we go to the next one. So again, here, this just sort of sums up who can apply. Obviously, a small business needs to be just that. So you're going to go by your standard industry codes. And again, if you're concerned, most people know for sure right away, but if you're a little concerned, sba.gov/size is the link to all of the different categories. Small agricultural co-ops and aquaculture there, even a handful of the select nonprofits. I know Angie and I had talked about that the Better Business Bureau was eligible. So lots of choices, lots of variety there. And I would be fairly certain that, everybody with us today should be eligible. So, and I can also give you some perspective on this. Since, again, that June 26th was the last date that I have data on, there were over 2 million businesses across the country that have gotten the EIDL loans already. And they're averaging altogether over $125 billion. I want to say the average loan, I think it's around 150 for most of these folks. Obviously, every business is very different, and they'll determine, SBA, the Office of Disaster, will determine the loan amount on that one. So there's no real formula the way there would be for the Paycheck Protection Program that we already talked about. I think if we go to the next one. So the loan is available. They do go all the way up to 2 million. Anything over 25,000 would have a collateral requirement there. Again, this is a standard loan, but certainly the interest rates for the small business are 3.75%. Nonprofits have the 2.75% rate. And the really great thing about this program is that the term can go all the way out to 30 years. So it's a very manageable payment. It's not even due for the first year. So you get the money and you have a year before you have to worry about that first payment, which hopefully by then we'll understand what our new rules are of the modern COVID age, and you will have had some time to think about, how you're going to do your business, update your business plan, your daily operations. So it's really a great program. Certainly helpful to lots of folks, and I would encourage everybody to apply. It's a very simple and easy form. I think it probably literally takes about 2 minutes to apply for this one, and you'll have your answer quite quickly. I think on the next page, slide. So again, how do you use this just to stay in compliance? This is a working capital loan. So again, this can be used for payroll as well. It can pay your fixed debts, obviously, as you'll see, accounts payable, any other bill. So again, this is really designed to help keep you afloat, to kind of bridge you through these, the lack of sales or, the slower pace of things. So just really to get you back up and running. It's not meant for business expansion. It's not meant to renovate, or redo things. So again, pretty wide open though, the working capital. So let's see, what's our next one, Clay, if you don't mind. Okay, the advance, I know a lot of people have heard about the advance, and this is the fun part. That's an emergency advance of up to $10,000. And that's usually given at a rate of about $1,000 per employee. So when you go into the application, there should be a checkbox, and you'll just check it off and say, yes, I want the advance. And then what'll happen is a lot of times, even before you get your final approval, or certainly before you would get your closing documents for the loan, you'll get this advance. You'll wake up one morning and magically, I think it's called Treasury dash something, but you'll get a magic deposit in your in your checking account from the Department of Treasury. So the fun thing here is the advance does not need to be repaid. So that will not be included in whatever that standard loan, the 3.75 up to the 30 years. The advance comes out of that. And here again, the same thing we just said with the advance, it can be used to keep people on payroll, sick leave, again, your rents. Basically, they all have the same use of proceeds for these things. The one thing about the advance is that, okay, you can have Paycheck Protection Program loan and you can have an EIDL loan. So you are able to have both things concurrently. But what happens is if you get the advance, let's pretend you get $5,000, you have 5 employees, that $5,000 is going to be deducted from your forgiveness amount of the Paycheck Protection Program. So not everybody realizes that on the beginning. So I just kind of want to mention that here today, just so that everybody knows. But again, even with that deduction, let's say of that 5,000, the worst case scenario of your paycheck, you end up with a loan for $5,000 at 1%. And again, you've got 5 years. So again, lots of things to consider, but certainly good rates, good repayment terms, and really can help, get you through and get you back up and running. Let's see. So how do we apply for this wonderful EIDL? You're going to go directly to SBA. Again, an easy Google search, will get you there, but certainly COVID-19 relief.sba.gov, the # will get you there. And again, it's quick and easy. When you apply, you already go ahead and give them your banking account information, because I mean, literally, Angie, I think, has commented earlier they had been through the process and it went quite well. And I've certainly spoken with many business owners that really just in a matter of days, the money is there. So again, you'll go in to the main SBA site, you'll put in your information, and you're going to check that box for the advance if you want it. And there we go. Life will be grand. It will be wonderful. And if you have questions about the advanced program itself, or if you've maybe applied already and you're waiting to hear a status, you have a question about it, unfortunately, the district offices don't have access to this system. It's completely run through the SBA's Office of Disaster Assistance, so we don't have access to their database. So unfortunately, you're going to need to email them or call them. But as you can see here, just disaster customer service at sba.gov, and then certainly the 800 number is there. So, and they've hired a whole new slew of folks, and they're working pretty much 24 hours a day and nonstop. So if you need questions or answers about the loan, the EIDL or status, that's there. And let's see what's next. Yes.
We actually just got a question come through from Jason. Jason's asking, is there a time limit to use the EIDL loan?
No. No, the EIDL has no time restriction. The only real time piece to it is that it's 1 year before you would make the first payment. And I'll also mention that there is no prepayment penalty fees on these loans. So let's say you get a large chunk right now, and hopefully in a wonderful, perfect world, things are going to get back to normal. We'll find our new groove, and life will get a little better and easier for everybody. And, maybe you don't need that much money. You can certainly return some of it, get it off the balance of that loan. So no time limit. You've got the 1 year before the first payment, and then the maturity rate for the entire term of the loan would go out to up to 30 years.
Perfect. Thanks for the question, Jason. I'll advance the slide now.
Okay, and then this is just our information. I don't think I said in the beginning, I know I mentioned that we are the federal government, but we are the Baltimore district office. So we are located in downtown. Most of us are working remotely right now, just as many of you are, but certainly we're available by phone or email. So our main site is sba.gov/MD. That just gives you a shortcut to our page with the local information. We do have a PDF listed there that does give you a list of all the local bankers or the banks that have done deals in Maryland. So that's on there. There's a calendar of events. Links, you can actually put in your zip code and get links to all of the contact information. We have SCORE, which is the Service Corps of retired engineers, executives that do volunteer work to help mentor and get folks some advice that are in business. And then we've certainly also got the Maryland Small Business Development Center, kind of goes by SBDC. Both offer free counseling, low cost training. Again, I think everybody right now is doing online webinars. But certainly, video counseling, phone counseling, even, questions by email. So we are certainly here to help you, and you are not alone. So feel free to reach out. That is our main office phone number. We do email blasts and things from time to time. So if you wanted to join that list, and then certainly Twitter has become our go-to in terms of getting out program changes and updates as quickly as possible. So I would encourage you to follow us through Twitter if that's an option is for you. And
awesome. We just had one additional question come through from Anne. She's asking, we have met the 60% requirement for the PPP loan in the initial 8 weeks. Can we use the balance to continue to pay wages? If we do use more than 60% on wages, will it also be forgiven?
Yeah, the whole thing will be forgiven. You can use the entire thing for payroll. You can use 80% per payroll. It's just that you had to meet the 60% mark. So you're in great shape.
Perfect. I think that's the last question we got. Okay. And let me advance the slide.
Yeah, I think that was the last one, Clay.
Oh, great.
The only other thing I'll say too is for anybody that does have questions, either how to apply or what their formula would be if you are interested and want to go and apply, or the question like we just had, what are sort of the rules and how do I spend it? If you go to treasury.gov, that's the main sort of clearinghouse. I mean, the pages are on SBA as well, but we call them interim final rules, and those are basically the guidelines that have been put out by the government to show you, I'm an LLC, how do I apply? I'm a sole proprietor, I have employees, I don't have employees. We use 1099s, we don't have W-2s. All of that fun stuff is right online for you. And most all of it is in sort of a question and answer format. It's not the typical pages upon pages like many of the bills and documentation would be. So it's fairly user friendly and certainly available right there to you, to kind of review and go through some of these questions.
Awesome, thanks. So I'm going to go back into email now to address some of the questions that we got prior to this live chat. So bear with me for 1 second. First question is, I've obtained a PPP loan prior. Can I get an additional loan to cover payroll and utilities now?
You can't go back for another paycheck loan, but you would be eligible to apply for the EIDL. So again, that would be the EIDL loan that you would have the year before the payment would be due. The money comes directly from SBA, and that would be the 3.75% going out 30 years. There has been some talk of another round of legislation that may open paycheck back up or allow people to go back and ask for additional funds, but right now, that's not an option. So you would need to go through the EIDL program if you hadn't done so already.
All right, and I think there was just one more, and you might have actually addressed this earlier, but it referred to calculations. So the question, I think, was on the PPP Form Schedule A worksheet, Table 1, there are 2 columns that they need further information on. So the number 1 was employer identifier, and 2 was cash contribution. So it looks like they're asking, how do they find is the last name, the last 4 digits of the social security number, something different than the employee identifier? I think you addressed
Yeah, as
earlier that
far
there's.
as I know, it should be your EIN, your tax identification number. I mean, obviously, if you're a sole proprietor, and you pretty much go by however you're filing your taxes. Whatever number you're using there, whether it's your personal social security or the business number, that would be my best guess. I mean, but these are all things that your accountant, your lender will be able to work through with you. And as far as cash contributions, I don't have an answer. Again, I would encourage you to reach back out to your lender and let them help you through that.
Great, thank you so much. That's all the questions that we got via email, and let's go back to chat. I don't see anything left in chat. So thank you very much, Rachel. If anybody else has additional questions, after this, obviously you can follow up with them. Oh, we got one more just came in from Jason. When the year is up, will the SBA invoice the monthly payment?
For the EIDL, I'm guessing is what the question relates to. Yeah, as part of your closing documentation on that loan, you'll have your installment schedule, and I honestly am not sure. I can't imagine they do it by paper anymore. I'm pretty sure there's a piece to that where you'll just sign up electronically. But yeah, it'll be just like a car loan. You'll have your regular monthly installments, and you can coordinate. Do you mail the check in, or do you just pay electronically? But all of that would be in your closing documentation that you'll have a chance to review before you sign on that dotted line, so to speak.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for your time this morning. Please give Steve our best.
Thank
And
you so much.
yeah, for everybody still on, we have another webinar scheduled tomorrow. Is that correct, Clay?
Yes, tomorrow is cracking the social media marketing code.
Okay, so we have social media, is Gina Ramsey, right?
With Gina Ramsey, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So welcome everybody to sign up for that one. Oh, we've got a question, Rachel.
Okay.
The question, should we set money aside for taxes on the PPP?
I would say that's a question for your bookkeeper, your accountant. I am honestly not that intimate with the details of it. So best guess would be just to, again, work with your lender, go with whatever they're going to suggest to you. Because here again, once you take out that forgiveness piece, there's a lot of sort of moving pieces to this. So I think the safest answer would be to check with your accountant or your lender. And I'm sorry, I can't give you a better answer than that, but I just don't want to say the wrong thing. And
Right.
I'd rather be honest and tell you I don't know than take a guess.
Very much appreciated. Yeah. Yeah. Nick, thanks for the question. And again, if anybody else thinks of something, so BBB will post today's webinar on our website. The links will be shared so that if you have questions, you'll be able to particularly go to the local district office and ask any questions there. That will be greatly be a big help to everyone. So. All right, Rachel, again, you were a great Steve. You did a great job. So much, what we appreciate is the direct, simple languages of a very complicated process. So hope to see some of you guys throughout the coming weeks in additional webinars. We're really focused on sales, pipeline, marketing, those kinds of things. And Joanne, is there any? Those are the topics, right? Yeah.
Virtual networking, cash flow, with Cathay Bosch. So, yep.
Yeah. So
They go through, right now we're scheduled out through the end of July. So check back on our event schedule.
Yeah. And the event schedule can be found at Eventbrite if everybody signs up for that. If you follow us on Eventbrite, you'll get notices of upcoming. Clay, is there any other way people can find out?
You can go to our homepage, bbb.org/greater-Maryland, and there's a COVID-19 coronavirus resource page specifically for businesses that has the breakdown of the next few webinars.
Great, thank you. All right, everybody have a wonderful week. Sending you lots of luck for continued good health. So thank you so much. Thanks,
Thank you
Rachel.
Rachel.
Appreciate you always. Bye.
Take care. Bye.